The greatest strength isn't found in avoiding the storm, but in learning to dance in the rain. The truth is, many of us spend our lives chasing a quiet harbor, believing that true peace lies in the absence of waves. We build walls, not just around our homes, but around our hearts, attempting to shield ourselves from the inevitable currents of life. But what if the very things we dread, the ruptures, the losses, the profound disappointments, are not just interruptions to our journey, but fundamental teachers? What if the shattering isn't meant to destroy us, but to reveal what we're truly made of? Think of it like a sculptor chiseling away at a block of marble. It's a violent, noisy process. Chips fly, dust rises, and for a time it looks like destruction. Yet from that very chaos, a masterpiece emerges. We are that marble, and life in its sometimes brutal wisdom is the sculptor. It is in those moments of extreme pressure, when the familiar ground beneath us gives way, that we are forced to excavate deeper, to find reserves of strength we never knew existed. We've all felt it, haven't we? That dizzying freefall when a dream collapses, a relationship shatters, or a loved one departs. The instinct is to recoil, to numb, to escape. But the courageous act, the truly transformative act, is to lean into the discomfort, to acknowledge the ache, and to ask, what is this teaching me? This isn't about romanticizing pain. It's about recognizing its potential. It's about understanding that the very wounds we carry, if tended with intention, can become the wellsprings of our deepest wisdom and most profound compassion. Look at the stories of those who have truly changed the world. Were their paths paved with unbroken sunshine? Seldom. Abraham Lincoln, whose life was a litany of personal and political heartbreaks, found the resilience and moral clarity to guide a fractured nation through its darkest hour. His profound empathy for the suffering of others was undoubtedly forged in the crucible of his own anguish. Walt Disney faced bankruptcy and countless rejections before Disneyland became a reality, and his animated dreams captivated the globe. Each financial struggle, rather than crushing his spirit, seemed to ignite a fiercer resolve to build the fantastical worlds he envisioned. These aren't just anecdotes, they are blueprints. They show us that setbacks are not terminal events, but rather pivotal chapters in a larger, more heroic narrative. They force us to discard what is no longer serving us, to reevaluate our priorities, and to discover the core tenets of our own being. It's in the stripping away of the superfluous that we find the essential. When the external world crumbles, the internal world is invited to rebuild, and often it rebuilds stronger, more resilient, and with a far clearer foundation. This rebuilding isn't a passive process. It demands active participation. It demands that we confront our fears, challenge our assumptions, and dare to imagine a future that in the midst of our pain might seem impossible. It requires a profound shift in mindset, from victimhood to agency, from paralysis to purposeful action. And this shift, this powerful reorientation, begins not with some grand external gesture, but within the quiet confines of our own minds, with the cultivation of a belief system that serves our highest good. The mind, in its extraordinary power, is both our greatest ally and, if left unchecked, our most formidable adversary. When trauma strikes the mind, often recoils, creating protective mechanisms that, while initially helpful, can later become prisons. We replay scenarios, assign blame, and construct narratives of limitation. We become entangled in a web of what-ifs and if-onlys, effectively living in the past, even as the present unfolds around us. This is where the wisdom of Napoleon Hill, reinterpreted for our modern struggles, becomes profoundly relevant. Hill understood that every human achievement, every triumph over adversity, begins with a thought, a sustained belief, an unwavering conviction. He saw the mind not as a passive receiver of circumstance, but as a powerful, malleable instrument capable of shaping reality. For those who have faced significant trauma, the first most crucial step in recovery is to reclaim ownership of this instrument. It means actively challenging the negative thought patterns that have taken root. It means recognizing that while pain is real, suffering is often a choice amplified by the stories we tell ourselves. The neural pathways carved by trauma can make this incredibly difficult, but not impossible. Just as a river carves a new path over time, so too can our minds forge new neurological connections, creating new habits of thought, new ways of perceiving our experiences. This isn't about denial or ignoring the pain. It's about acknowledging it, processing it, and then consciously deciding not to let it define our entire existence. It's about cultivating a belief system that is rooted in possibility, not in limitation. Think of Thomas Edison, who famously said, "I have not failed 10,000 times. I've successfully found 10,000 ways that will not work." Imagine the internal monologue of a lesser man encountering setback after setback. "This is impossible. I'm a failure. I should just give up. But Edison held a different belief. He believed in the eventual triumph of his vision, and each perceived failure became a data point, a step closer to success. His mind was a workshop, not a graveyard of discarded dreams. For us, emerging from trauma, this means developing an unwavering faith in our capacity to heal, to grow, and to thrive, no matter how dire the present circumstances. It means seeing our scars not as symbols of brokenness, but as maps of resilience, each one a testament to battles fought and won. It means replacing the question, "Why me?" with the more empowering, "What now? And how can I use this?" This shift in internal dialogue is foundational. It's the bedrock upon which all other recovery efforts are built. Without a firm belief in our own inherent strength and our capacity to overcome any external strategy, we'll eventually falter. This belief isn't a passive wish. It's an active cultivation, a daily practice. It's nurturing hope, like a delicate seedling, watering it with positive affirmations, shielding it from the harsh winds of doubt, and celebrating every tiny sprout of progress. It's understanding that clarity, the ability to see a path forward, emerges not from a perfectly smooth road, but from the deliberate, sometimes messy act of defining what we truly want, despite the chaos around us. It is the courageous act of imagining a different future, even when the present clings tightly to the shadows of the past. This mental fortitude, this commitment to a brighter horizon, is the first seed of genuine transformation. Clarity is not a destination. It's a process of continuous refinement, especially in the aftermath of upheaval. When life throws a curveball, or more accurately, when it hurls a brick through your carefully constructed window, the immediate aftermath is often characterized by fog and disorientation. The familiar landmarks disappear, and the future seems shrouded in an impenetrable haze. This is precisely when the need for clarity becomes most acute and paradoxically most challenging to achieve. Yet it is within this very struggle that the most profound insights can emerge. Imagine a ship caught in a dense fog. Its instruments are useless if the captain doesn't first acknowledge the storm's impact and then recalibrate. Our internal compass, our sense of purpose and direction can become similarly muddled after trauma. The first step towards clarity is often an honest, compassionate self-assessment. What has truly changed? What fears have surfaced? What values, perhaps previously dormant, have been brought into sharp relief? This isn't about judgment. It's about observation. It's about acknowledging the landscape you now inhabit, not as a landscape of defeat, but as a territory ripe for new discovery and new construction. This means allowing yourself the space to grieve, to process, and then to calmly observe what remains, what new perspectives have emerged, and what truly holds significance for you now. This journey towards clarity is deeply personal, often beginning with a courageous examination of our own limiting beliefs and narratives. We've all heard the stories of individuals who, after losing everything, found a profound new purpose. Viktor Frankl, a survivor of concentration camps, discovered that even in the most horrific circumstances, the human spirit could find meaning. His experience didn't diminish his clarity. It sharpened it, crystallizing his understanding of purpose and the unwavering human capacity for choice. He chose meaning even when stripped of everything else. For us, emerging from our own personal fires, clarity often means identifying what genuinely matters, now stripped of the old expectations and societal pressures that may have once defined us. It's about asking, what despite everything still ignites a spark within me? What contribution, however small, can I still make to the world or to myself that feels authentic and deeply resonant? This can be a daunting question, especially when emotional energy is depleted. But even a faint whisper of an answer, a tiny flicker of aspiration, can be the starting point. It's like finding a single star on a cloudy night. Once you see one, others begin to emerge. This star, however dim, becomes a focal point, drawing your scattered energies towards a singular, powerful direction. It guides you not with harsh demands, but with gentle, persistent whispers of possibility. This emerging clarity then paves the way for vision. Vision isn't merely wishful thinking. It's a detailed, vividly imagined future state that pulls us forward even when the present feels heavy. It's the blueprint we construct for our rebuilt lives. Henry Ford, despite multiple early business failures, held an unshakable vision of making the automobile accessible to the masses. His vision wasn't just about cars, it was about transforming society, democratizing mobility. He didn't just dream, he meticulously planned, innovated, and persevered through countless obstacles. For those recovering from trauma, vision can feel like an extravagance, a luxury afforded only to those untouched by suffering. But it is in fact a necessity. Without a compelling vision, the temptation to remain stuck, to retreat into the familiar discomfort of the past, becomes overwhelming. Our vision doesn't have to be world-changing. It can be deeply personal. It might be a vision of restored health, of renewed relationships, of a creative endeavor finally brought to fruition, or simply a life lived with greater peace and self-acceptance. The key is to make it specific, to feel it, to embody it as if it's already happened. What does that restored life look like? What does it feel like? What choices are you making? What kind of person have you become? This detailed internal rendering of a desired future state becomes a powerful magnet drawing us forward, step by painstaking step, out of the shadows and into the light of possibility. And as this vision begins to take shape, it inherently clarifies our purpose. Purpose isn't some grand, elusive concept reserved for saints and revolutionaries. It's the engine that drives us forward when motivation wanes, the anchor that holds us steady when doubt threatens to capsize our efforts. And for those navigating the choppy waters of trauma recovery, identifying and embracing a purpose can be the most profound act of self-reclamation. Prior to a significant setback, our purpose might have been implicitly defined by external factors, a career path, a relationship, societal expectations. But when those external structures crumble, we are given a stark, albeit painful, opportunity to discover a deeper, more intrinsic purpose, one that resonates with the core of who we are, rather than who we were expected to be. This isn't about finding the purpose, a singular, immutable destiny. It's about discovering a sense of purpose that lends meaning to our existence, even in its brokenness. It's about understanding that even amidst shattered fragments, a new mosaic can be formed, and that each piece, however small or irregular, contributes to a larger, more beautiful whole. Your existence in its rawest form carries an inherent purpose to simply be, to experience, and to grow. Consider the story of countless individuals who, after experiencing profound loss or injustice, dedicate their lives to advocacy, to healing others, or to creating something beautiful from their pain. They don't just move on, they transmute their suffering into a force for good. Their trauma, rather than being a dead end, becomes a pivot point, redirecting their energy towards something larger than themselves. This isn't a quick fix or a convenient distraction. It's a deep, soulful reorientation. Your purpose might be as grand as building a foundation to support others who've faced similar challenges, or as seemingly humble as dedicating yourself to cultivating inner peace and sharing that serenity with your immediate circle. It could be reigniting a long-dormant creative passion, or committing to a journey of self-discovery through learning and personal growth. The beauty of purpose, particularly after trauma, is that it doesn't demand perfection or immediate grandiosity. It simply requires a clear, intentional direction for your energy and focus. It's the understanding that even a single step taken in a meaningful direction is far more powerful than standing still in the wreckage of the past. It's recognizing that the very act of living, of choosing presence over paralysis, is a powerful statement of purpose. Once a sense of purpose begins to solidify, even vaguely, it unlocks the next crucial element: discipline. Many mistakenly view discipline as a harsh taskmaster, a rigid adherence to rules. But true discipline, especially in the context of healing, is self-love in action. It's the consistent, intentional effort to move towards your vision and purpose, even when you don't feel like it. It's the quiet commitment to show up for yourself day after day in myriad small ways. Think of an athlete training for the Olympics. They don't always feel like waking up at dawn for another grueling session. But their discipline, born from their clear vision and purpose, compels them to do it. And it's in those moments of pushing through discomfort, of choosing their long-term goal over short-term gratification, that their true strength is forged. For someone recovering from trauma, discipline might mean consistently engaging in therapeutic practices, even when they feel emotionally draining. It might mean committing to a regular meditation practice to quiet an overactive nervous system, or adhering to a self-care routine that feels burdensome but is ultimately restorative. It could be as simple as setting clear boundaries with people who deplete your energy, or as challenging as facing a difficult conversation you've been avoiding. The insidious nature of trauma is that it often saps our energy and fragments our focus, making discipline feel like an insurmountable mountain. But it's precisely at these moments that small, consistent acts of discipline become revolutionary. James Clear, in Atomic Habits, illustrates how tiny, incremental changes compounded over time lead to massive results. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. Start small. Commit to 5 minutes of mindfulness a day, even when your mind races. Read 1 page of an inspirational book, even when you feel too weary. Make 1 healthy choice, even when you crave comfort. These aren't just isolated actions. They are declarations of intent. They are signals to your subconscious that you are committed to your healing and growth, that you are taking back control, and that you are actively building the life you envision. This disciplined commitment then inevitably leads to action. Action, often the most dreaded word in the lexicon of healing, is paradoxically the most liberating. We can spend infinite hours in contemplation, in therapy, in reflection, but without taking tangible steps, even small ones, we remain tethered to the past. The fear of action after trauma is palpable. We've been hurt perhaps deeply, and the instinct is to retreat, to avoid any situation that might replicate that pain. But inaction, while seemingly safe, is its own form of stagnation, a slow erosion of potential. Think of the pioneers who built this nation. They didn't just dream of a new world. They packed their wagons, faced untold dangers, and pushed westward one arduous step after another. Their vision was powerful, but it was their willingness to act despite overwhelming obstacles that forged a new reality. The path forward is always paved with steps, not just intentions. For us, the action isn't always a grand gesture. It's rarely a sudden leap from profound pain to perfect serenity. More often, it's a series of micro-actions, each one a tiny victory against the inertia of despair. It could be reaching out to a friend you've isolated yourself from, even when your anxiety screams at you to stay hidden. It could be applying for that job you feel underqualified for, despite the fear of rejection. It could be signing up for a class, pursuing a new hobby, or simply walking around the block when every fiber of your being wants to remain curled on the couch. Each of these actions, no matter how small, is a direct challenge to the fear that trauma often instills. Each one is a vote for your future self, a declaration that you are not merely a survivor, but an active participant in your own evolution. The beauty of taking action even when terrified is that it generates momentum. A body at rest tends to stay at rest, but a body in motion tends to stay in motion. The initial push is always the hardest, but once you begin, once you taste the small triumphs of forward movement, the next step becomes a little less daunting. It's about building a muscle, not just of physical strength, but of psychological courage. This isn't about forcing yourself into a state of relentless activity. It's about discerning the right actions for your unique healing journey and committing to them with unwavering resolve. It's about understanding that progress, not perfection, is the goal, and that every single effort, no matter how tiny, contributes to the grand narrative of your transformation. And as we begin to take these courageous steps, a powerful side effect often emerges: gratitude. Gratitude, especially in the wake of trauma, can feel like an alien concept. How can one be grateful when the world has seemingly conspired against them? Yet it is precisely in these moments of profound difficulty that the practice of gratitude becomes most potent. It is not about being thankful for the trauma itself. It is about cultivating an awareness of the small pockets of light that persist even in the deepest darkness. It's about recognizing the resilience of the human spirit, your own spirit, and the quiet acts of kindness that often emerge in the wake of crisis. Consider the Stoic philosophers like Seneca, who understood that true happiness wasn't dependent on external circumstances, but on our internal response to them. They encouraged a practice of reflecting on what could be worse and finding appreciation for what is. For us, this might mean being grateful for the simple act of waking up, for the breath in our lungs, for a single moment of peace, for a supportive friend, for the resilience of our own bodies, or for the lessons learned, however painful. It's a conscious shift in focus away from what was lost and towards what remains or what has been gained through the fire. This isn't about wearing rose-tinted glasses. It's about a realistic appraisal of reality that includes the good, not just the bad. It's about retraining your brain to seek out evidence of goodness, resilience, and beauty even amidst the rubble. The research on gratitude is clear. It improves mood, reduces stress, and fosters greater resilience. It literally rewires the brain to look for the positive, creating a virtuous cycle of well-being. This practice is not about denying pain. It's about expanding your capacity for joy and acknowledging the incredible strength that has carried you this far. When you actively seek out things to be grateful for, you begin to see life through a different lens, one that reveals unexpected blessings and hidden strengths. It's about finding the subtle wisdom in the everyday, the quiet miracles that often go unnoticed when our attention is consumed by what is missing or broken. And this expanded perspective, this acceptance of life's dualities, naturally leads to adaptability. Adaptability is not merely a desirable trait. It is a fundamental survival mechanism, and in the aftermath of trauma, it becomes an essential key to rebuilding. Life, as we've painfully learned, rarely unfolds according to our meticulously crafted plans. The very essence of trauma is an abrupt, often violent departure from the predictable. The old maps no longer serve, the familiar paths are obscured, and the comfortable routines are shattered. In such a landscape, the rigid, the unyielding are often the first to break. But those who can pivot, who can shed outdated strategies and embrace new approaches, are the ones who not only survive, but find new avenues for growth. Think of the mighty oak tree in a storm. It might seem strong and unyielding, but it's the willow with its flexible branches that often weathers the fiercest winds, swaying but not snapping. Our internal willows, our capacity for adaptability, must be nurtured after profound life disruption. This means letting go of the desperate grip on how things should be and embracing the reality of how they are. It means being open to new information, new ways of thinking, and even new identities. The narrative of who I was can become a powerful prison if we cling to it too tightly. Adaptability invites us to explore who I am becoming, a journey of self-discovery that is both challenging and profoundly liberating. This could mean adjusting career paths, reevaluating relationships, or even fundamentally shifting our definition of success or happiness. It demands a willingness to experiment, to try things that feel unfamiliar, and to learn from both our successes and our missteps. It's the entrepreneur who, after a product launch fails, doesn't despair, but instead analyzes the data, pivots their strategy, and launches something even better. It's the parent who, after a child leaves home, finds new purpose and meaning in their changed role. The beauty of adaptability is that it is not about surrendering your values or your core identity. It's about finding new expressions for them in a changed world. It's about recognizing that growth often happens at the edges of our comfort zone when we are forced to stretch and evolve. It's about cultivating a mindset that sees challenges not as roadblocks, but as puzzles to be solved, as opportunities to innovate and grow. This mental flexibility, this graceful surrender to the flow of life, even when that flow feels turbulent, creates the capacity for true peace within chaos. And this constant evolution, this dance with uncertainty, forms the bedrock of true resilience. Resilience is not the absence of struggle, but the capacity to recover from it, to bend without breaking, and to ultimately emerge stronger. It's the muscle that develops through repeated exertion, through the lifting of heavy weights, the weights of grief, of disappointment, of fear. Trauma doesn't just test our resilience, it often forces us to develop it in ways we never thought possible. Before the storm, we might have been unaware of our own inner fortitude, mistaking comfort for strength. But when the foundations are shaken, we are forced to dig deep to tap into reserves we didn't even know existed. Think of kintsugi, the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with gold lacquer. The philosophy is that the breakage and repair are part of the object's history, and the golden seams actually make it more beautiful and stronger than before. We are in essence kintsugi vessels, our scars not marks of shame, but shimmering testaments to our ability to mend and become more uniquely whole. Our cracks, once hidden, become visible proof of our capacity to heal and integrate. Building resilience is an ongoing process, not a one-time achievement. It involves a conscious commitment to self-care, to nurturing our physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. It means understanding that there will be good days and bad days, and that setbacks are not failures, but opportunities for recalibration. It's about cultivating a robust internal support system, a network of positive self-talk and self-compassion that can counteract the inevitable moments of self-doubt. It also involves external support, the courage to lean on others to seek professional help when needed, and to allow ourselves to be vulnerable. This isn't weakness, it is profound strength. The lone wolf might seem powerful, but the pack thrives through collaboration and mutual aid. Resilience is also deeply tied to our ability to learn from our experiences, to extract the wisdom from the wreckage. It's about understanding that every challenge, however daunting, carries within it a seed of invaluable knowledge, a lesson waiting to be uncovered. This conscious extraction of wisdom from adversity transforms mere survival into true thrival. This brings us to learning. Learning is the antidote to stagnation, the fuel for evolution. After a profound experience like trauma, the world often presents itself as a stark classroom filled with unexpected lessons. The temptation might be to shut down, to avoid confronting the very experiences that caused so much pain. But true healing, true growth, requires us to become diligent students of our own lives. It means asking with genuine curiosity, what did this teach me about myself, about others, about the world? It's in the careful, compassionate examination of our reactions, our coping mechanisms, and our emerging insights that the deepest wisdom is gleaned. Think of scientists like Marie Curie, whose relentless pursuit of knowledge, even in the face of skepticism and profound personal sacrifice, led to groundbreaking discoveries. They didn't just stumble upon answers. They meticulously observed, experimented, and learned from every result, good or bad. They embraced the iterative process of discovery, understanding that each failed experiment brought them closer to the truth. For those of us on a path of trauma recovery, learning isn't just about accumulating facts, it's about internalizing truths. It could involve formally educating ourselves on the neuroscience of trauma, understanding how our brains and bodies respond to stress, which can normalize our experience and empower us with agency. It could be learning new coping skills, new communication strategies, or new ways of regulating our emotions. It could also be the profound, informal learning that comes from simply observing our own patterns, recognizing the triggers, and understanding the narratives we've constructed about ourselves. This isn't about blaming ourselves for past struggles. It's about taking ownership of our present and future capacity for growth. Every single day we have the opportunity to learn something new about ourselves, about our limits, and about our infinite potential. This continuous learning, this humble acceptance that we are always evolving, creates a fertile ground for deeper self-awareness and lays the groundwork for finally truly beginning again. To begin again is not to erase the past, but to integrate it, to carry its lessons forward without being defined by its pain. It's a powerful act of conscious creation, a declaration that, despite the storms you've weathered, your story is still unfolding, and you are the author of its next chapters. This isn't about reaching a destination where all pain vanishes. It's about accepting that healing is a dynamic process, a lifelong journey of growth and transformation. Think of the phoenix rising from the ashes not as a creature that forgets its fiery past, but one that uses the remnants of its destruction to fuel its rebirth. The wisdom gathered from moments of despair, the strength forged in the crucible of loss, these become the foundational elements of your new beginning. You don't need to be perfect to begin. You don't need all the answers, nor do you need to possess an unwavering sense of courage every single moment. You simply need to be willing to take one small intentional step, then another. This beginning is not a singular event. It's a series of conscious choices made day after day, sometimes hour after hour. It's the choice to believe in your own capacity for renewal, even when doubt whispers its insidious lies. It's the choice to extend compassion to yourself, recognizing that healing is not linear and that setbacks are part of the journey. It's the choice to define your own meaning, to build a life that is authentic to who you are now, not who you were before. Your scars are not signs of weakness. They are badges of honor, testament to the profound battles you have fought and survived. They are reminders of your incredible capacity to endure, to adapt, and to ultimately thrive. The world is waiting for your unique contribution, for the wisdom born of your journey, and for the strength you have cultivated in the deepest valleys. You are not broken. You are bravely, beautifully, and powerfully becoming. And your greatest story, the one born from the very depths of your trials, is waiting to be written, one courageous, intentional act at a time. The time for waiting for perfection is over. The time for living, for creating, for truly beginning is now. The journey of healing is not a sprint. It's a marathon of the spirit, a winding path that demands both relentless effort and profound patience. Every step, every choice, every moment of self-compassion carves out a new landscape within you. You are a living testament to the human spirit's capacity for transformation, a masterpiece in progress, painted with the brushstrokes of resilience and gilded with the gold of wisdom gleaned from your deepest wounds. This is not just a speech, it is an invitation to lean into your own extraordinary story, to embrace every chapter, and to understand that the truest power lies not in erasing what was, but in bravely stepping into what can be. This courage, this quiet, relentless bravery in the face of what was, is the most profound form of action you can take. It's an action taken not for external validation, but for the profound liberation of your own soul. The process of integrating trauma is not about forgetting the pain, but about transforming it. It's about taking the raw material of suffering and forging it into something that strengthens, illuminates, and ultimately frees you. This freedom is not an absence of constraints, but the inner liberty to choose your response, to dictate your own narrative, and to live a life aligned with your deepest values, regardless of external circumstances. It's about building an inner fortress, not of stone, but of character understanding and unwavering self-worth. Consider the intricate complexity of a diamond. It is formed under immense pressure, enduring forces that would shatter lesser materials. Yet it emerges not broken, but stronger, purer, and capable of reflecting light with unparalleled brilliance. You too are undergoing a similar process. The pressures of trauma, while agonizing, are shaping you, refining you, stripping away the inessential to reveal the inherent luminosity of your spirit. This revelation isn't instantaneous. It unfolds gradually through consistent effort and compassionate self-reflection. It requires you to be both the artisan and the art, painstakingly molding yourself day by day into the magnificent creation you are destined to become. This is the ultimate lesson of trauma, not that life is cruel, but that the human spirit is infinitely powerful, capable of turning ashes into beauty and despair into profound purpose. Your journey is a testament to this truth, a beacon of hope for anyone who believes they are too broken to begin again. And in this shared human experience of challenge and triumph, we find our deepest connection and our most profound collective strength. This is not the end of your story, but the powerful, exhilarating beginning of your truest self. The whispers of the past, the echoes of pain, they don't simply vanish with the dawn of a new day. They linger sometimes as faint shadows, sometimes as insistent reminders. But this is where the profound power of mindfulness and presence steps in, not as an escape from these echoes, but as a brave engagement with them. Many who suffer from trauma find themselves trapped in a cyclical pattern of replaying past events or catastrophizing future ones. They live in a state of perpetual anticipation, constantly braced for the next blow. But true healing cannot occur in the past or the future. It can only happen in the present moment, the only place where agency truly resides. Think of the unwavering focus of a seasoned meditator, not trying to empty their mind, but observing each thought, each sensation without judgment, letting them pass like clouds in the sky. This isn't about intellectual understanding alone. It's about somatic awareness, about bringing your attention back to your body, to the breath, to the tangible reality of right here, right now. Trauma often disconnects us from our physical selves, leaving us feeling disembodied or numb. Reclaiming that connection is a vital step in healing. It could be as simple as focusing on the sensation of your feet on the ground, the texture of the air on your skin, or the gentle rhythm of your own breathing. These small acts of presence anchor you, pulling you back from the swirling vortex of anxiety and rumination. They are moments of conscious choice, where you decide to inhabit your body and your life, rather than being dragged along by the currents of unexamined thought. This discipline of presence, while initially challenging, builds a powerful internal sanctuary, a quiet space where you can observe your emotions without being consumed by them. It's in this space that true processing begins, not by intellectualizing, but by allowing feelings to surface, to be felt, and then to pass without judgment or attachment. It's a radical act of self-acceptance, a deep bow to the entirety of your human experience. And as you cultivate this profound presence, you begin to tap into a deeper reservoir of self-compassion. Self-compassion is perhaps the most revolutionary and often overlooked aspect of trauma recovery. We live in a society that often champions resilience through sheer grit, through pushing through pain, and through the relentless pursuit of perfection. But for those who have experienced profound wounding, this approach can be deeply counterproductive, leading to self-blame, shame, and a perpetuation of suffering. Self-compassion is the radical act of treating yourself with the same kindness, understanding, and acceptance you would offer to a beloved friend facing a similar hardship. It's recognizing your own suffering and responding to it with warmth, care, and a desire to alleviate it. Think of the nurturing embrace of a wise mentor, not criticizing your stumbles, but offering encouragement and understanding. Trauma often leaves us feeling flawed, broken, or fundamentally unlovable. It carves out deep grooves of self-criticism, but self-compassion gently yet firmly begins to fill those grooves, acknowledging that you are not defined by what happened to you, nor by your reactions to it. It understands that pain is part of the shared human experience, and that your struggles are not a sign of weakness, but a testament to your humanity. This means refraining from harsh self-judgment, particularly when you stumble or feel overwhelmed. It means offering yourself grace, recognizing that healing is a messy, non-linear process. It could be pausing to comfort yourself during moments of intense, emotional pain, speaking to yourself with kindness, or engaging in small acts of self-nurturing. This isn't selfishness, it's essential fuel for your healing journey. Just as a plant needs gentle sun and water to thrive, your spirit needs the nourishment of self-compassion to mend and grow. Without it, even the most dedicated efforts at recovery can feel like an uphill battle against an internal adversary. When you offer yourself this profound understanding and acceptance, you create an inner environment conducive to true healing, allowing you to shed the heavy cloak of shame and step into the light of your authentic self. And in this blossoming authenticity, you begin to experience a deeper sense of connection. Connection, especially after isolation, is not merely a social nicety. It is a fundamental human need, a profound pillar of healing. Trauma often forces us into a painful solitude. Shame, fear, and the sheer burden of carrying overwhelming emotions can lead us to withdraw, to erect invisible walls between ourselves and others. We might fear judgment or believe that no one could possibly understand the depths of our experience. But just as a river flows stronger when its tributaries converge, so too does the human spirit thrive when it is interwoven with the lives of others. Think of the early American communities facing immense challenges on the frontier. They didn't survive by isolating themselves. They built barn raisings, shared resources, and formed bonds of mutual support. Their collective strength far exceeded their individual vulnerabilities. For those navigating the aftermath of trauma, reaching out can feel like the most terrifying action of all. It requires immense courage to be vulnerable, to share fragments of your pain, or simply to show up imperfectly. But it is in these very acts of vulnerability that true connection is forged. It's about finding your tribe, those who see you, truly see you with compassion and understanding. It might be a trusted friend, a family member, a support group, or a therapist. The specific form of connection is less important than the quality of the interaction, a sense of safety, acceptance, and mutual respect. This isn't about burdening others with your entire story, but about allowing yourself to be seen, to be supported, and to receive the vital nourishment of human interaction. Science increasingly confirms what ancient wisdom has always known. Social connection is a powerful antidote to stress, a booster for the immune system, and a profound contributor to overall well-being. It helps regulate our nervous systems, reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles, and provides a crucial external anchor when our internal world feels turbulent. It's through these connections that we not only receive empathy, but also discover our own capacity for offering it, recognizing that our shared humanity transcends individual experiences of pain. And in this dance of giving and receiving, we cultivate a deeper sense of meaning. Meaning is not something passively discovered, like an artifact unearthed from the past. It is actively constructed, particularly in the crucible of our most challenging experiences. When trauma shatters our old frameworks of understanding, it leaves a void, a desperate yearning for sense-making. The human mind abhors a vacuum, and without conscious effort, that void can be filled with narratives of victimhood, bitterness, or despair. But with intention, that space can become fertile ground for cultivating profound meaning, transforming what was once a source of suffering into a wellspring of wisdom and purpose. Think of Viktor Frankl, who amidst the unimaginable horrors of the Holocaust, found profound meaning in his suffering by observing those who maintained their dignity and purpose even as everything else was stripped away. He didn't find meaning in the suffering itself, but through it in the human capacity for choice and transcendent values. For us, cultivating meaning after trauma often involves asking different questions. Instead of, "Why did this happen to me?" we shift to, "What did I learn from this? How can I use this experience to grow, to help others, or to make a positive impact?" This isn't about intellectualizing away pain. It's about acknowledging the pain, processing it, and then consciously choosing to imbue it with a larger purpose. It might mean advocating for causes related to your experience, becoming a mentor for someone facing similar challenges, or simply living your life with a deeper appreciation for its fragility and preciousness. It could be integrating the lessons learned into your creative expression, your work, or your relationships. The meaning we construct is deeply personal, but it always involves a fundamental reorientation from self-focused suffering to a broader, more expansive perspective. It's understanding that while we cannot control every event that befalls us, we always retain the power to choose our attitude and our response. This choice, this conscious act of assigning significance, empowers us to transcend our circumstances and to transform our wounds into sources of strength and wisdom. This deliberate creation of meaning, this weaving of personal narrative into a tapestry of purpose, naturally leads to an embrace of growth. Growth isn't a linear ascent. It's a spiral staircase where we revisit themes and challenges from new elevated perspectives. After trauma, the concept of growth can feel abstract, even insulting to those still grappling with the raw pain. But true growth isn't about forgetting. It's about integration. It's about expanding our capacity to hold both joy and sorrow, strength and vulnerability, presence and possibility. We don't shrink away from our past selves. We encompass them, bringing the lessons learned into the unfolding narrative of who we are becoming. Think of a mighty redwood tree. It doesn't grow in a single season. It adds rings year after year, each one a record of its triumphs and its struggles, its moments of drought and abundance. Its deepest strength is found in its rings, not in their absence. For us, this means embracing the ongoing process of self-development, recognizing that the very act of healing is a profound form of growth. It's about consciously seeking out opportunities for learning, for new experiences, for expanding our understanding of ourselves and the world. It might involve continuing education, pursuing a new skill, engaging in volunteer work, or simply challenging our own ingrained patterns of thinking. This growth isn't about becoming a different person, but a more authentic, more resilient, and more compassionate version of yourself. It's about shedding the protective layers that no longer serve you and stepping more fully into your inherent power. It's about understanding that every challenge you overcome, every fear you face, and every act of self-compassion you extend contributes to this profound internal expansion. This growth is driven by a deep, unwavering commitment to your own well-being, a recognition that you deserve to live a life of joy, purpose, and profound peace, not despite your past, but because of the wisdom it has imparted. It's a continuous, unfolding journey, propelled forward by the courageous choice to remain open to life's lessons, to embrace change, and to lean into the exquisite unfolding of your truest potential. And in this ongoing evolution, we discover the transformative power of legacy. Legacy isn't solely about grand monuments or world-changing inventions. It's about the impact we have, however subtle or far-reaching, on the lives of others and on the world we leave behind. For those who have navigated the depths of trauma and emerged with hard-won wisdom, the concept of legacy takes on an even deeper resonance. It becomes the ultimate transmutation of pain into purpose, the ultimate testament to the human spirit's capacity for transformation. It's the conscious decision to use your experiences, your insights, and your very existence to create a ripple effect of positive change. Think of Carnegie, who after amassing a fortune dedicated his life to philanthropy, building libraries and institutions that would benefit generations long after his passing. His legacy wasn't just his wealth, but the enduring impact of his generosity. Your legacy doesn't need to be measured in millions or in global movements. It can be found in the quiet mentorship of a struggling friend, the gentle guidance you offer to someone walking a similar path, or the profound changes you model within your own family. It could be the art you create, the stories you tell, or the compassionate presence you bring to every interaction. It's about realizing that your journey with all its challenges and triumphs holds invaluable lessons that can illuminate the path for others. By sharing your vulnerability, your resilience, and your hard-won wisdom, you offer a beacon of hope and inspiration. You become living proof that healing is possible, that growth is inevitable, and that even from the deepest wounds, profound beauty can emerge. This conscious decision to live a life that leaves a positive imprint, to contribute to something larger than yourself, is the ultimate act of empowerment. It's about realizing that your narrative of survival is not just your story, but a part of the larger human story of overcoming adversity. And in embracing this purpose-driven existence, you not only fulfill your own potential, but also leave an enduring testament to the power of the human spirit. This final profound stage of integration, the act of turning personal transformation into lasting impact, is the crescendo of your healing journey, a testament to the unyielding power of love. Love in its broadest and most profound sense is the ultimate balm, the final frontier of healing. It is not just a romantic sentiment, but a universal force that binds us, nourishes us, and ultimately liberates us. When trauma strikes, it can leave us feeling isolated, disconnected, and sometimes even wary of the very idea of love. The fear of further hurt can lead us to close our hearts, to protect ourselves at all costs. But true healing cannot occur in a vacuum of isolation. It demands an opening, a courageous willingness to give and receive the profound nourishment of love for ourselves, for others, and for life itself. Think of Martin Luther King Jr., who, despite facing immense hatred and violence, preached a message of unwavering love, understanding that it was the most potent force for social transformation. His love wasn't naive. It was a strategic, deeply powerful commitment. For us, this means extending love and compassion, not only to those who have supported us, but also crucially to ourselves, even the parts that feel broken or unlovable. It means recognizing that the capacity to love is an inherent human birthright, and that even if it has been wounded, it can be rekindled and expanded. It means embracing vulnerability, the willingness to risk being seen and deeply connected, even with the possibility of pain. This is the radical act of self-acceptance, recognizing that your worth is not dependent on external circumstances or past experiences, but is an intrinsic part of your being. It's about forgiving yourself for perceived shortcomings, for mistakes made, and for the times you felt less than whole. It's about learning to trust again, to open your heart to the restorative power of authentic connection. It's about cultivating empathy, not just for others, but for the complex tapestry of your own emotions. This kind of love is a revolutionary force, capable of dissolving the deepest shame, bridging the widest divides, and illuminating the darkest corners of the soul. It is the understanding that even in the face of profound loss, the capacity for love remains a resilient flame that can never truly be extinguished. It is in this embrace of love in all its forms that we truly come home to ourselves, whole, interconnected, and profoundly alive. The final lingering lesson trauma whispers, if we are brave enough to listen, is about the impermanence of all things. Before the unexpected rupture, we often cling to the illusion of stability, believing that certain aspects of our lives, certain relationships, certain states of being will endure forever. Trauma shatters this illusion with brutal efficiency. It forces us to confront the profound truth that everything changes, that life is a constant flow of beginnings and endings, of construction and deconstruction. This can be terrifying, leading to an instinctive desire to grasp, to control, to prevent any further shifts. But it is in accepting this fundamental truth that we find our deepest peace and most profound freedom. Think of the ancient wisdom of Eastern philosophies, which teach that attachment to outcomes or to fixed identities is the root of suffering. They encourage a graceful surrender to the ebb and flow of existence. For those of us who have walked through fire, this understanding of impermanence isn't a cynical resignation. It's an empowering liberation. It means we learn to cherish the moments of joy more deeply, understanding their fleeting nature. It means we learn to let go of what no longer serves us, whether it's a limiting belief, a painful memory we've processed, or a relationship that has run its course without clinging to false hope or misplaced loyalty. It teaches us not to build our happiness on external conditions, knowing they are inherently unstable, but to cultivate an inner wellspring of peace that remains regardless of the shifting sands of life. This acceptance of impermanence allows us to grieve fully when loss occurs, to process it, and then to release it, rather than carrying its weight indefinitely. It opens us to new possibilities, new connections, and new identities that might have been impossible if we remained rigidly tethered to the past. It's about building a life not of static perfection, but of dynamic, beautiful, and ever-evolving presence. This wisdom allows us to move forward, not with fear, but with a profound trust in life's ongoing unfolding, knowing that even in the midst of constant change, our true essence remains untouched and eternal. This ultimate letting go, this profound acceptance, is the final exhilarating release, leaving us open to the infinite possibilities of the unwritten future. The unwritten future is not a blank slate, but a canvas waiting for your courageous brushstrokes, informed by the wisdom of your past, but not bound by its shadows. For too long, trauma can convince us that our story is already written, that our destiny is predetermined by our deepest wounds. It whispers narratives of limitation, of what we can't do, what we can't be. But the profound truth that emerges from the depths of recovery is this: you are the architect of your tomorrow. You are not a passive recipient of fate. You are an active co-creator of your reality. Think of the grand visionaries like Andrew Carnegie, who didn't just react to the industrial age, but actively shaped it, building steel empires, and then, with equal fervor, dedicating his wealth to building libraries and promoting peace, always looking forward to the next contribution, the next chapter of his impact. Your unwritten future is a testament to the cumulative power of every single step you've taken, every challenge you've overcome, every piece of wisdom you've integrated. It is fertile ground imbued with the resilience you've forged, the clarity you've gained, the purpose you've embraced, and the love you've cultivated. This isn't about ignoring the past, but honoring it by building a future worthy of the strength it demanded. It's about daring to dream again, perhaps even bigger dreams than before, precisely because you now know the immense capacity of your own spirit. It's about setting audacious goals, not out of a need to prove something, but from a genuine desire to express the fullness of who you are becoming. This means actively designing your life, setting intentions, and then taking consistent, inspired action towards them. It means surrounding yourself with people who uplift and empower you, and shedding relationships or environments that no longer serve your highest good. Your future is not a given. It is a profound choice, a conscious commitment to continued growth, contribution, and joy. It is a bold declaration that your story of triumph is still unfolding, and that the best is yet to come. This is the profound gift of trauma, not the pain itself, but the exquisite clarity, resilience, and unyielding will to thrive that it ultimately reveals. And now, armed with this profound understanding, The time has truly come to step fully into your power and claim the magnificent unwritten chapters that await.